Yeah, we're here every day. So you can't hear us say all this float tank advice that we store in our cranium. We speak into these microphones, pump it into your dome, in your car, in your home. We don't give a damn how you listen. We're just here to make sure there's not stuff that you're missing when you go to get health department permission. Make that big decision to fulfill your vision.
Get your doors open, get those floaters floating. Get your doors open, get those floaters floating.
Gotta fill up those tanks with water and salt. Make it dark, make it warm, make it still as a vault. Make it so they are getting legit that pervaded buoyant, cause your hydrometer is calibrated. When the people come in, they all think that they'll sing, that their fingers were pruned, that they won't hear that tune, that they'll lose their mind and howl at the moon, that their thoughts will expand like a pump-up balloon. But you're here to make them feel so much better, to get them much wetter, to make them unfettered, to give them a speech and some tea that they drank, to get them into the motherfucking tank.
Get your doors open, get those floaters floating. Get your doors open, get those floaters floating.
Word.
Hey everybody,
What's up?
this is Ashkahn.
This is Derek.
We got the Ashkahn and Derek radio hour happening here. I was probably going to be more like 15 minutes,
Yeah,
not an hour.
Not an hour.
I didn't mean to get you guys all excited.
Gotta get home.
All right.
Cool.
You want to hear the question?
I guess. I mean,
Well, I'm
you
not
said
going
an
to say
hour.
it if you're not that enthusiastic about it.
Yes, sir. Please. Can I have another?
Oh, great. Sure. Yeah. Let me read the question here.
All right.
It is, I do the single float monthly membership with additional discounted floats. How do I get my members to come in more than once a month?
You gotta get those floaters floating.
So, yeah. I mean, this is a really popular membership structure that we see out there, right?
Right.
They-
We even jumped on that bandwagon.
Yeah, so we even do this.
Yes.
And the basic idea is that, this is as opposed to the kind of like 4 floats a month or 8 floats a month type memberships where you're getting this kind of monthly package of floats. A lot of people will set it up so that you pay a small fee every month and you get one float with that fee, whatever it is, $50, $60 or something like that. And then you can buy additional floats for that same discounted rate, as many times as you want to float.
Or some people even do cheaper, right?
Or your first one is a certain price and additional ones are cheaper. And there's a lot of ways of kind of altering things from there. But this person is struggling with the fact that people are getting this and then just floating that one time a month and then waiting a month and floating again.
I remember when we went to the tier to the single plan, we were concerned that people would just only float once a month now. We had all these members like, wow, we're just basically going to cut our membership down dramatically.
I mean, that basically is the downside of a membership structure like this, right? I mean, it's called like a 1 float a month membership. When someone has 4 floats a month or 8 floats a month, getting all those floats up front and paying for them up front definitely creates more incentive to go use them.
Right.
Like I just paid for 8 floats. I'm going to go book myself in so I can use these floats that I already have. And switching to this structure, I mean, this is literally the fear we had, and I think not an unrealistic one to consider when you have this structure.
I mean, in similar ways, we would get those 8 float a month people to book their float so they don't pile up. We can use some of those strategies. Or the first one that comes to my mind is when they come in for that 1 float and they're done, ask them when you'd like to see them next, or they'd like to see you next.
I mean, there's general strategies, I think, for getting any of your customers to rebook and be recurring customers. But I feel like, what we're doing when we're giving discounts or memberships, and anytime you're doing anything that's different than your just base float pricing, you're doing some sort of price to incentivize or encourage some sort of behavior. So the first thing that comes to my mind is adding some rules or some more structure to your membership that encourages this behavior of people coming in more often. When we did this, that was our big fear too, that all of a sudden, if someone was on a 4 float a month membership and now they have this 1 float a month membership, are they going to have that same incentive to float those 3 extra times in a month? Or because it's like a small pain point every single time you got to decide to spend money, is that going to be discouraging that behavior? So we built into our structure a couple things that we thought would continue to encourage people to float more regularly. One of them is our membership structure is really flexible in terms of sharing. Like you can bring a friend in and they'll just get the same price as you. You can bring 10 friends in and they'll all get the same price as you. We're super lax about it because we think that helps encourage people to come back.
Right.
You know?
So if people are going to float once a month anyways, but you allow them to share that membership and they bring a friend, that's kind of like a single person buying 2 floats.
Yeah, or if they have friends in town and they want to come get into float, like it creates that kind of much easier path for people to make that decision or to feel good about coming in and floating and using that deal again.
Another thing, we did to encourage people, to float more often is we introduced the Unlock Unlimited option.
Yeah, I mean, that came out of this conversation.
Right.
Was what do we do to make people keep floating more regularly? And our goal was, or the way we tried to meet that goal was by setting something that you would achieve after a certain amount of floats in a month.
Right.
So for us, it's after 6 floats in a month, all the rest of your floats that month become free.
And we ran numbers to make sure that we weren't going to basically lose the house running 6.
And we crossed our fingers a little bit.
We did. With the 2, 4, and 8, I think we figured out the average member floated 3 times that month. And then like the top 25% most frequent floaters floated like 5 times. So that 6 was encouraging even floating even more. So I think maybe 3 of all of our members floated more than 6 times. So really, getting people to float more is going to be the goal of that Unlock Unlimited.
Yeah, and we thought of a lot of other things too, things becoming half price after 3 floats, some sort of incentive point that would benefit people floating once a week or...
Yeah, we wanted to keep the pricing no-brainer, like consistent. Like we didn't want people to think, am I on my 3rd one yet or is it my 2nd one yet? Does it get cheaper after this? We just wanted the same consistent price.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy. I mean, I know of float centers out there that every from floats 1 to 3, it's this price, then 3 to 6, it's lower, then 6 to 9, it's lower. And so there's lots of different ways of going about this. But the warning
I heard somebody at the float conference came up to me and asked well, what if every float, it just got $10 cheaper until it became free? It's like, well, that's complicated.
I mean, yeah, there's 2 difficulties with things that get that elaborate. One is not a lot of software out there is good at handling all these crazy rules you came up with in your head for how something should work. So that's
manual
hard.
work on your plate.
So yeah, it might be a lot of manual work and tracking things on your side. And also it's confusing for your customers. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, your customers aren't going to spend an hour trying to understand the intricacies of your pricing model. Like something simpler is going to stick in their head easier and is going to be more tangible to them. So that was one of the things that led us to simplifying. Like we were even thinking of doing the half price of this, then unlimited at this, and eventually we just cut it towards being as simple as we could make it while still having that kind of achievable incentive point there.
So let's recap. In my mind, we came up with 3 options so far. One was the Unlock Unlimited. Then we also had just asking them when they'd like to float next, and then making it shareable. What are some other ways you can get people to come in more?
I mean, what's interesting to me is that even when we did have memberships that were like the 4 float and 8 float a month, things like that, and 2 floats a month, I mean, one of the problems we were hitting is that people weren't coming in using all their floats.
Right.
So I should say that your membership structure alone is not going to make or break people's behavioral habits. Like, one of the reasons we switched membership structures was because people on like 4 or 8 floats a month were racking up a bunch of floats on their account, and then they had so many floats on their account that they were like, hey, I should pause my membership. I have all these floats built up.
Then they never go back and use them.
Yeah, so while those membership structures do incentivize things more, it's not like those are perfect either. Or just by someone having floats, it's going to mean they absolutely use them on a rigorous schedule.
Well, and I mean, your everyday marketing is just an awareness generator to get people back into the mindset of thinking about floating. So, I mean, the more you're posting on social media and people are seeing that, they might, I had a really rough week. I must get back in there. Just everything you're doing outbound is going to remind people you exist and could encourage people to float more often as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, all that is all kind of feeding back into itself. And, at a certain point, none of this is going to be perfect. Like, you're not going to get all of your members to become weekly floaters.
Right.
And people go through phases too, is what I've noticed. Like, people would be super on it and floating 2-3 times a week for 6 months, and then something in their life will change.
Right.
And you won't see them, or they'll start floating once a month. Or, we just have people all over the place in terms of, they're going real strong for a period. And we have other people who have been floating with us every week for like 4 or 5 years at this point,
right,
and are really consistent. And even through the changes in our memberships have kept up pretty much the same habits despite us altering things and changing things around.
And I also feel like if you try to incentivize a little too early, like trying to get those people activated sooner than later, and then you have to pull that away for some reason, like if you stopped your multi-tiered discounts or anything like that, that now you're setting a bad example or a bad taste in people's mouth that things change. So like, I don't know if I really want to encourage people coming in at like, special incentivized gimmicks. Like if you hit 3 times this month, you get the 4th one free or anything like that. Like if that's going to be the case, make that all the time thing. Make that your unlock unlimited, something people can shoot for. I don't know if I would incentivize them to kind of temporarily boost their membership habits by, short-term campaigns.
Yeah. I mean, having something ongoing is nice too, because it allows people some flexibility in their own schedules. Like we definitely have people who float like a couple times each month and then one month really go for it.
Right.
And this month they're like, hey, I think I'm going to try floating like 3 times a week. And it's cool for them to already have a membership that allows them to take advantage of that and go for that and have it become cheaper. And,
right.
And yeah, so far with allowing this, we have at this point, I think around 250 members. Mm-hmm. And the rule applies for all of them. Like past your 6th float of the month, the rest are unlimited, and it hasn't been out of control or anything like that. It's not like our schedule is totally full of people who are floating for free all the time.
So when people are on members, if you want to activate them, you can possibly put them into a separate email campaign. So everybody gets a reminder to float once a month when they get that bill. But let's say halfway through that month, they get a second email. It's like, or after they float, they get an email saying, hey, it was great seeing you. Hope you can book another. So you don't have to do it in person. You can always have these email options to get people to schedule their next float. Make it really easy because there's a button with a link to the site that they'll go and book on.
Yeah, we also just try to do nice things for our members, give them gifts
giveaways
randomly from time to time, or we have presents for people who floated with us 100 times, which are almost always our members. So those kind of little touches here and there, especially those unexpected touches, I think are things that make people more invested in coming back in and gets people more into the idea of floating with you more often. So
moral of the story is if you stay top of their mind, they'll think about you when they need you.
So yeah, I mean, good question. It is like by doing a 1 float a month membership, you're literally encouraging people to float once a month. So like probably the biggest thing is
education, just let them know why floating more is more beneficial to them.
Yeah. And thinking about maybe adding some rules to your membership structure to encourage some slightly different behavior.
Yeah. But it's going to be a good change for your business, getting that 1 float a month.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great for you.
Yeah. Wait, they're already on it. Yeah, either way.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Another question?
Another question done. Boom.
Another one tomorrow?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Where should people go if they want to write us questions, Derek?
Gee, Ashkahn, I think floatanksolutions.com/podcast is an excellent source.
Oh, that's a great answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, okay, people, go do that now.
Bye.
Bye.